So today we have Nanaya Ejim, and she will be talking to us about the seven big requirements that you need for the scholarships when you're applying for scholarship.
All right, so we're going to do quickly our first one, which is the CV. Now, there are different types of CVs, okay? And I'm going to focus on academic CV because that's the one that is very relevant to scholarships. That's the one that most times when you're applying for a scholarship, they will really care about. Very few times, yes, there'll be a professional CV, but you can usually often use an academic CV to, pass that line and then get into um, you know, get into the room or get the scholarship you're looking for. Because scholarships, there are two types. I don't know if Lois said this, but yeah, the other way to look at it is that usually we have scholarships that come with the school or the program, or there are ones that are separate. So you find the scholarship, get into the school on your own, and then you get into the program or the scholarship on your own as well. So I will use my sample of an academic CV to show you the features of an academic CV and what makes it different from the other kinds of CVs that are there. You're probably asking, Anaya, what other kinds of CVs that are there? So we have professional CVs. We also have portfolio CVs. We have CVs that are also, having graphics and all of these things, depending on the industry you're coming from. For example, if you're a model, a photographer, a creative, basically, it looks a bit different. Okay, so these are some of examples I can mention to you right now. Now, I hope you can see my CV here. This first section is divided into 5 parts. So I'll quickly walk you through this. So the first section, you should always have your name at the top, have your contacts, leave out your address. I won't say this again. Have an email address there that you're always reachable on. Have a customized LinkedIn. If you don't know what it means to have a customized LinkedIn, just Google how to customize your LinkedIn URL. If you're not on LinkedIn, that's the story for another day. But you can always leave this session after. And after you're done, and go and then look up what LinkedIn is. But one line summary I'll give about what LinkedIn is that it's like a professional Facebook. So think of Facebook, but in professional terms. That is what LinkedIn is. When you get there the first time, it may seem a bit overwhelming because you see people at 19 saying, I started a $1 million company, I saved the world, I found a cure to malaria, I did this and I did that. And it might feel a bit overwhelming, but the good thing is that you can carve out your own branding, your own story, and stay in that space and ecosystem where you can be found by recruiters, people you can collaborate with, and then work on other projects with. LinkedIn has been very useful for me as well, especially when you leave the country, Ghana. Yeah, it will be very useful for you. Yeah, especially to make networks that can land you not just jobs, but opportunities in other spheres in the future. It's kind of like your digital CV. You can think of LinkedIn that way. That's another way I would say you can think of it as. Now, the third thing about an academic CV is that there's a fact out there, and this one, I'm speaking from my professional experience working with a recruitment and professional hiring company, for 4 to 5 months when I was in the UK, and I saw a lot of things behind the background, how people are recruited from all over the world, because this company was a powerhouse company, and I was an associate consultant there, where I was helping the teams to recruit people for various jobs for various client companies. And I can tell you that sometimes they spend 2 minutes, 2 minutes guys in a lot, like 30 seconds looking at your CV to see if it's a good fit, and they usually look at the top. So for that reason, they just look at the main things that you can put up. So instead of putting that thing where you write, I'm a team player, I am this and I'm that. I don't know if you can see my screen, guys. I'm sharing a screen where you can see an outline of a CV. Baba, if you can hear me, can you confirm this for me?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, all right. So we have summary of you instead of having I'm a team player of those things, don't put those things, but I put it in themes, categorize them by themes. So For research and academic purposes, the main things that you should always have there is your analysis. I would say like analysis, yeah, like try and describe your level of analysis. So here I have policy analysis and development because I'm in the national development space. And then research and data analysis, those two things, because in academic CV. Then you can talk about organization and management if you've organized or like led other people, leadership, team management. Project management is a good one. Even if you don't have PMP and you've not done anything, sometimes people complain to me that, oh, I can't afford the fees. But you can go on Coursera. Okay, Coursera has many project management courses. You don't even need to pay for the certificates. So many. If you type project management in Coursera, you can do some 6 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then have the link and put it in your link without paying for the certificates. You can ask for a discount or whatever, but you don't need to necessarily cover $40 if you're a student and you really can't do that. I would even advise you not to stress yourself. It's just to show that you've learned the main principles or the central principles and put it on your CV. Okay. Then the fourth thing is bring your education first. This is one of the also differences between academic CV and then professional CV. If it was a professional CV, you put a relevant work experience here at section 4. But because this is academic CV, you bring your education. So you bring the relevant education experiences here. Make sure you bring relevant things to the work or the program that you've done relating to the program that you are trying to get into. Okay. So you can see, for example, the master's there. That's not all the modules that I did, but I just put some there to show the ones that I think were relevant to the scholarship that I wanted to apply for at the time, or maybe the program or whatever. So let's say it was on environmental governance. So you see, I talked about environmental policy governance and environmental economics policy and stuff like that. So I felt like I have to talk about these particular modules because they may not go and look at my transcript or whatever. So you try and be like your own hype person and bring out the salient things. Okay. So you see, I summarized and said related modules. Always make the work of the person looking at your CV easier. Yeah. Then I talked about other courses that I had done that seemed relevant. A mobility program. This was in partnership with KUST. So that's another point I want to mention. If you're still in school right now, even if you're in final year, go to your department, professors, talk to them. They are having some of, especially in KUST and UG, they're having some of these partnerships with some of these arbitrary schools where you can do these mobility programs. Some of them you can travel, some of them it's not really about traveling. They are doing it like from your campus, but join. I'll give you a story behind this very quickly. I remember when we did this mobility program, as you can see the year, it was around COVID period because we started in December, actually, 2020. And we were like 6 people that's in our class of 40 that decided to do this program. Many people didn't want to do because, we were supposed to travel and then, because of COVID, it was cancelled. But I still thought that, okay, let me just go ahead and do the sustainability in construction course. After all, who will go kill? That's the mentality you have to have sometimes. Even along the program, I realized that almost all my colleagues dropped out. It was just 4 of us or 3 of us that actually saw it to the end because it was a very gruesome time, living, not knowing when or what would happen. That's the time that they were saying what by June, people would die, so many things. People were staying in the house. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that I want to do my best with whatever it is that I've got going for me. So let me just try and finish this course. I had this classmate in tech that time who was from Ivory Coast, and she was like, nah, she's really struggling. She doesn't want to finish this. And I was like, just try, and she didn't listen. And she didn't finish the course. And it was so weird for me because it was like 1 week for us to finish. And this course was very easy because the final last minute, they decided to change our exams to like an oral exam. So the lecturer just came and asked us like 10 questions. Can you imagine? That was the exam. It was so good. And they gave us 6 European transfer credits. Fast forward, I get to University of Leeds on scholarship by God's grace, Shimon scholarship, and I'm looking for a job. I apply, and I realize that wow, as Nigerians would say, or more, this thing will be easy. Once you leave the shores of Ghana and you're looking for a job, even as a student for your 20 hours, it's not that easy. And then I decided that, okay, I'll switch back and apply within the school. Sometimes the schools have these on-campus jobs. And later on, I get a job with the school. And once we're doing the orientation, I asked the HR lady that, oh, I realized I'm the only African here because all the other ones were like UK people. I was the only African. In fact, there was no other European students. So I asked the HR lady that, why did you pick me? And she said that, oh, yes, I was going through your CV and I saw that you did a mobility in Italy. And I thought that you already have European credits. So that means that you've already done some study in the academia of Europe. So you know how it's like. And she was like, and I saw that you did it during COVID. So you were very brave. She actually thought I was trapped in Italy physically. But I didn't, let her know. I was like, yeah, it was a very hard time. And I was so excited, that this thing that I was like, this thing, I didn't know what would become of it. It became something that gave me this opportunity where I was earning good money out of that program for over a year's contract that I was with them. These people paid for me to go and teach as far as Cambridge to go and teach A-level geography there. That's how good this one opportunity for learning this online mobility program brought. So guys, I'm telling this story to just ginger you. All right. So long story short, next section you can see is publication. You should have projects or publications. Try and work with your professors in your department. Just talk to them and see if you can contribute any way. The first publication you see there is because I really convinced my supervisor at the time that he should back me on helping me to publish my dissertation. To be honest with you, he didn't believe in what I was doing, but I like that he decided to stick with my crazy idea on the condition that I make him first author because he was taking his neck out for me. So that's why you see his name and his initials there. But it worked out. We were accepted into Elsevier, which is a very good publication piece, and he helped me to refine it and keep it together. So I'm always so forever grateful to him for that. So try and talk to your professors and your department supervisors to see if you can publish your dissertation. Make sure it's really good and solid. As a student, obviously you won't know all the answers, so you may be wrong in a lot of places, which is what I experienced. But if you are willing to follow what they are telling you and then listen to them, they can actually help you to get published. And that's the goal. Take your humble pie. Some of us nowadays, we are very proud. Oh, want to make a function me anyhow. You want to carry chest. The question you should always keep in your mind is that, do you want publication or you don't want? Because the thing is, scholarships nowadays are very competitive. You're competing with people from like China and even our next one, Nigeria. I remember when I got into this program in Leeds, I met one Nigerian classmate who had like 16 publications. Oh, Chale, and he came on Commonwealth scholarship. Imagine if somebody like this, I was applying for that same Commonwealth scholarship with him, and I didn't have at least one publication to my name. Because how the reverse it is that you guys are all from Africa. How come this person from Nigeria has some publications to their name, and maybe your other colleague, co-applicant from Ghana have some publication you don't have? You make the work easier for them when you have more substance to your application. So it can be projects. You can change the heading there to projects if you have projects that you work on, especially the health people. You do this health impact evaluation programs and all of that. You can just put it there. Then number 6, your work experience. So always bring relevant work experience. The reason I brought this was because this is an international agency. I worked across different parts of Africa. I worked with USAID. That's a mistake I made. I'll go and edit my CV and put USAID in here somewhere, because some of these projects were for like big funders like Hilton Foundation, and it was a very good experience sitting in the space of some of these people, the USAID people, Water for Good, these big UNICEF people working on $1 million funds for some of these projects. So always try and use numbers, use big names, drop big names, and then show how you were a part of it. I even had a couple of publications to my name from working here at the global level. So yeah, this is a good reminder for me to update my CV. Now, when it comes to achievements and rewards, try and put in things that, of course, as I said, are relevant. So I tried to put a couple of examples here: fellowships that are important, scholarships, because it's not easy, even if it's MTN or Kofo, you think it's local, so why am I put it there? But you should know how to coin it, even if you don't think maybe somebody in the UK or China if you're applying for Schwarzman, they will probably never Google what's the Kufuor scholarship. So they may not know how competitive it is. One of the tricks I use is that, as you can see there, oh, okay, I didn't even put it here. I don't know why I didn't put it here. But typically, the Shilling Scholarship, I would normally put entered into a prestigious scholarship with a 2% acceptance rate. Juicy. So I show that this girl, she's creme of creme. Like, do you get when we say creme of creme, it's like gold of gold. So that it shows you them the kind of candidate you are, and then it's like you make them want you. Do you get it? Everybody likes somebody that's attractive. Everybody wants a Genevieve Naji of Nollywood. So be the Genevieve Naji of the scholarship. Okay, make yourself attractive. Skills 8. So you also categorize skills again. Somebody is thinking, why is this different from the summary of skills in the beginning? So we have two kinds of skills. We have soft skills and hard skills. So the ones that you usually describe at the top usually have to do with the soft skills like negotiation, analysis, and the ones that we describe usually at the end is technical skills, usually like computer skills, but there can be some soft ones in there. As you can see here, I have like languages in there as well. So do what works for you. If you know Hausa, I'll say add it, or Arabic. Nowadays, it's a really hot app for people who can do those things. Yeah, who can speak those languages. So now let's move on to transcripts and certificates. I'll rush a bit now. So transcripts and certificates, I want to break them into two parts. So depending, first of all, look at the scholarships that you're applying to. Every scholarship has its own, what I'll say, ethos or value system of what they're looking for. So I'll give you two examples. Shimney scholarship, let's say, looks for people who's more like leadership, professional staff. They don't really care if you got second class lower, but you shouldn't, because if, let's say, you want to get into a very good UK school like Cambridge, on the back of a Shimney scholarship, you probably need to have a first class or LSC or King's College. But let's say on one hand, we have Shimney scholarships that will fund you to any other kind of school as long as it's in the UK and it's a master's. It's not an MBA. They'll pay for it. So they care about leadership and professional experience and networking and all of that. And usually political ambition, because I've seen a lot of people that they usually get to be presidents or ministers when they go back to their home country. So they care about stuff like that. Schwarzman scholarship is the Chinese equivalent. It's very prestigious. And then we also have similar ones like around the world like that. Fulbright for the US. So coming back, that's one type of scholarship. Now, there are other kinds of scholarships too, like the Bo Ibrahim scholarship. That also cares about leadership, but let me see if I can think of another type of scholarship that exists. Okay, yes. Karen Napier or the Durham Trust is also in the UK. These guys care more about, like your women empowerment stuff, like the social impacts you're having in your community. Then another third group is, let's say, the Netherlands and the Swedish scholarships. They care about your grades. They really care about your grades. So they would want to see that, especially the people with a technical engineering background, they really care about those kinds of things. So they want to see that you're having a first class, your grades are good, you were doing stuff with maybe your engineering society, or you have a project that you were working on, stuff like that. Fantastic. So depending on the kind of scholarship you're applying for, all I'm saying that their requirements will be different. The emphasis that they place on some of these things will either be present and heavy, or not present, or present but not heavy. So, for example, transcripts, they may ask you for transcripts, but they'll be like, just submit a transcript. Some of them will say, submit your transcripts through your university, stamped and endorsed and approved. Follow every instruction they give you. I'll show you an example very soon with a story, because I think stories help people to understand and see things better. So make sure, first of all, whatever they ask you for, you do. So usually they want full transcripts. Sometimes if you're about to finish school and then they know you're not done, they'll ask you to give them a transcript of where you've reached so far, so that they can just see your progress and try and estimate. I saw some two people say that they are looking for bachelors. There's a very great scholarship program for Oxford University. It's called the Ellison Scholars Trust. if you want to do your bachelor's abroad, it's very competitive. It's like for bright or bright people, but you can get it. There's also Minerva schools in the US. People that like to code, yes, they will pay for you fully, but you have to make sure that your transcript is A star. If you can get that one, you get it. Because yeah. So things like that, they want your full transcript, but some of them, depending on the time that you're applying, the time they start the application. I remember that they want you to at least submit something that you've done so far so that they can see and use that to project to see if you're a good candidate for their school. So the first rule is that listen and follow the instructions for the scholarship and see what they're asking you to do. Okay, because sometimes they will ask you for endorsement stamps. This applies to your transcripts, your certificates. Sometimes they'll tell you to pass it through WES. WES is a Worldwide Education Services. So they are basically people that check. You will see some things I'll show you on the next slide to make sure that the certificates that you're showing them is actually valid. Yes. And some of these things take time. That's one thing I want to mention. I know someone who lost out because they didn't plan well. You don't want to do things haphazardly such that you don't plan well and then you don't factor all of these things that the requirements of that particular scholarship is asking for. And then you lose out because you didn't submit something on time. They have deadlines for a reason. The community sets for a reason. I don't want to wait for it just because you're a princess or a king of Accra, but you are not in New York or Los Angeles or wherever. So you can simply replace with another candidate. Remember, for every seat, now because we're in a global village, there are like 1,000 qualified people. So, yeah. So, this story, I'll summarize. So, this is a Princeton application. And I did everything I was supposed to do, but I couldn't submit my transcript. Do you know why? Because Ghanaian lecturers were fighting with the Ghana government at that time. And they were doing strike. And Kane University was like, we ain't gonna help you. We're on strike. So we can't do anything about it. And I was trying to, talk to staff in person and all of that. And they were like, no, if I give you the thing, somebody else will hear about it. And, even I can get in trouble with my association, UTAG, I think that's the name of UTAG and all of that. So when you see something like this is going to happen, you can see here that I emailed them that can I ask for an extension. Sometimes they'll say yes, it should be possible. Sometimes they'll let you know that no, if you don't get it in this way or by this time, it's not possible. Always make sure you are transparent, okay, with the admissions team. They are not your enemies. They don't have the Ghanaian mentality where if you send an email to them, they don't respond. 9 times out of 10, they'll respond to your email. They are your friends. They actually want you to come to their school. So make sure you take advantage of emailing them. Never be afraid to email them. So I found a way around it. And I got my they said I could submit it later. So once the strike was over, I got my transcript sent and I got in. It's a good program. For those of you that are in final year, you can consider it. It's called Princeton in Africa. When I say final year, I mean final year undergrad. Yeah, it's a good program for those that want to go into international development. So I put the screenshots here to show you some of the certifications or certified features that show that nowadays. So I also had a client or a friend where once she submitted her certification, the school not had cancelled Ghana is our educational academic institutions are regulated by, they used to be called National Accreditation Board, but I think now they are called GITEC. Yes. Not knowing that GITEC had fought with their school and cancelled the program she did because apparently the school didn't pay GITEC fees or something. I don't know what it was. So she lost the scholarship because the school decided to verify the validity of her certificates. And the certificate was valid, but when you go to they have I didn't even know to that time that experience happened. When you go to the GITEC database, they have an open database on their website. You can check which programs in which schools are activated or considered in good standing with GITEC. And the petty GITEC board had deactivated all of their schools, programs at the time. So there's the school in Abuja was like, then this school must be a fraud, or this certificate must be a fraud, because how is it that your school, I think it was a political something. Anyway, so she lost the scholarship. And it was later that their school had a good standing with GITEC, and then the courses were restored, but it was too late an opportunity at that time. So really, some things can be out of your control. I'm just saying this because some things can be out of your control, which is when you need the element of God, 100%. In fact, 1,000%. But also to show you that, like, you should keep some of these things in mind. WAEC is also very important for some of the transcripts that you need and endorsements, because also some of the UK schools go there to verify some of the things. And then the copy of the certificates that you see here, you can see there's a stamp there. Remember, I spoke about having them stamped. Some of the stamps look like this with a signature, and you can see the corner, bottom left, or is it right? Here, you can see that there's student registration. I've blurred out some of the codes, but you usually have a number that they can search up in the whole database. I didn't even know all of this. With a barcode, they can actually find it. And then the numbers at the bottom is apparently attached to a global system of academic certificates of all around the world. So they usually go to that database to search, to see the validity of your certificate that you're presenting to them. Now I'm wondering, Nanaya, why are you spending so much time talking about this? Because of stories like this, where some students went to fake, their certificates and results, and they were later found out. Not only were they dismissed from the school reported them to the police, they had to pay the money, pay the charges, serve jail time and community time, and then be deported from their brochure back to Ghana. What a shock. All of this for what? My brethren, let's not desperation cause you to bring shame upon yourself and your family. This happened just last year. This is not like a 1957 story, and it's happening a lot of the time. It's just like this one, came out and some journalists said about it. It's a real occurrence. So the summary of what I'm trying to say is, make sure if you're doing the applications, do the right thing. Be 100% honest with what you're doing. All right. Now I want to take a break and just give us opportunity to ask, maybe take 3 questions if there's any opportunity for the CV and then the transcripts and the certificates that I've talked about so far. And then we can continue with the statement of purpose. Yes,
Someone
please.
asking in the comment section, what's the name of the Princeton scholarship? The name of the scholarship right
It's
there.
called Princeton in Africa. They should just type Princeton in Africa. Nexus.
Princeton
Look
in
for
Africa.
Nexus. Princeton in Africa Nexus. That one's the one for African based. Yeah. It's a very good program. And they also give you a stipend as well to do internship in a different parts of Africa. Yeah. It can help you boost up your CV for your applications, scholarships, and also build a network with the school, the company that will host you, and then also, all of these other things. Maybe if I have the opportunity towards the end, I'll talk about the importance of using networking to your advantage, even here in Ghana, to gain scholarships. So, yeah. Any last question before we move on?
Selena is asking, is it for graduate studies, the Princeton in Africa Nexus?
So I've seen people who finish their bachelor's get it, and I've seen people who finish their master's also apply and get it. So it's not a master scholarship, it's like an opportunity to work with an organization in different parts of Africa, okay, for international development experience.
Okay.
Yes. So it's for those who want to get into the international development space, yeah. You just go on their website and read more. You
Yeah.
get it. I got the opportunity, but that time I had gotten the job of my dreams at IRC. I was like, why do the internship when I have the real deal? So
Mhm.
I think I was assigned to some elephants reserve B in Kenya. Yeah. Yeah. They have really nice partnerships, so check it out.
Richard is asking, please, do you know of any external scholarship for undergraduate students? I think you
Yeah,
talked about.
I mentioned two. The the Minerva scholarships for the computer science people, the coding people. Yeah, and then Minerva. Okay, Minerva is not really external because it's for their schools, but it's
Mhm.
like a group of schools, if I should say. Yeah, and then I mentioned another one, the Ellison Trust, but that one is also just for Oxford.
Oxford, okay. So it's very
That's the
precise.
ones. Yeah, but those ones are very prestigious. But that's the ones I can think off the top of my head. If you really want help, that person that asked, there's this guy. He has some program that he helps people for 1 year. It's called YAF Ghana, Young something something Ghana. You should look on it for on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Okay.
YAF Ghana.
Why Ghana?
Yeah, they help young people who want to get into schools abroad for to get scholarships. Like they'll help you, you know, write the applications for undergrad, but you have to have really good grades
Is it like
because
only for undergraduates?
yeah, from what I've seen, they help undergrads. Yeah,
Okay.
like yeah, they get them into pre-med, biomedical programs, computer science programs. Yeah.
Richard is asking, can one talk about his or her research experiences in the CV too?
Yes. So I mentioned that if you saw it, I showed you how you should structure it as well, so that you know you you make sure you get the best out of it. I showed you that you summarize it. I showed that you bring out the good things about the project. So maybe I'll quickly go back just
Okay.
to show you. Um, yes, so you can look at a project. I don't even have any example of a project here. Um, I can mention one. So during my time that I was in undergrad, I helped my lecturer to work on a xenobiotic study. I wasn't really interested in it, but I helped them to do the lab analysis. So I wrote it in my work, and I wrote it as if I was the second in command of that study. But I was just really assisting them with the daily recording of, some of these I think it was like a microbiological study. And,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take samples daily and do the test and wait for the machine to finish. So that's what I was assigned to. But I wrote, when you're writing anything like that, use the approach where you write what the project is generally about. So it was a xenobiotic study to see the resistance of fish to these emerging compounds, to see that what was the effects of these things on them, like cosmetics being flushed down the drain, effects on these local aquatic systems. So that's the overview of the program. Then you talk about your role in the project. Okay, so I was in charge of doing ad numbers. So I was in charge of the daily login hours of 3 hours, data recording, data analysis, lab setup, and lab whatever. This contributed to successful what. You talk about what your contributions led to. And then the overall result, the final study was published in Elsevier, Lancet, whatever, and brought funding to the university department amounting to 100,000 US dollars. You may not get some of that 100K, but you've shown how your contributions have led to that 100K coming to your department. So, yeah, even if the research group is 17 people, as long as you are in there, you are part of the
Yeah, yes.
contribution. So make sure that you write your name and say what you did. Even if it was to wash, it was an agricultural study and you were watching the chicken feeders, still write it down. But as the LinkedIn people do, if you're a driver, you say you are a conductor of vehicular affairs. You see,
Mm-hmm.
driver now, but you've made it sound more fancy. Let's find a
Yeah.
way of formalizing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope that
Yeah.
helps. Now let's go back and continue. We'll take more questions as we go on.
Later. Yeah.
Um, so statement of purpose. I'm really excited about statement of purpose because statement of purpose is very central to your applications. It gives these people who are sitting on the other side of the world an idea of who you are. It helps them to decide if they really want to have you in the school, in the scholarship program, if the kind of person that reflects the kind of people that they're looking for, the typical kind of person. And one very good example I always tell people to do, or exercise I tell them to do, is this scholarship that you've picked, even if it's Russia scholarship or it's Brazil scholarship, look at what they say they want and then try and see in your mind's eye, who is this typical scholarship person? Even if you need to take an A4 sheet and write down the typical person that would win the scholarship is one, a girl. Because let's be honest, some scholarships they just make it just only for ladies. Or two, a person in the biomedical area. And you know that you are coming from the linguistics or French area, then you know immediately that this one is not your portion. Then you stop yourself in the beginning from applying for this kind of scholarship because you know your chances are reduced. Okay. Sometimes a good way to see this thing I'm talking about is to go to the scholarship website. I'll give you a very good example. The McBain scholarship. You've seen it. It's a very prestigious scholarship. So many people apply. I saw even that recently, the one that they did last year, there were 3 Ghanaians that were shortlisted in the final one, and they were all competing for one spot. And as I went through these final Ghanaian, I saw a trend. They were all business people. They were all doing some project or another. And then somebody that I know very close to me comes to me. He's having a civil engineering background. He said, "Oh, I've seen this McBain scholarship. I want to apply." I was like, "My brother, it's not for you." He was fighting me. I said, "It's not for you because look at the kind of people they've put on their website as finalists. They are sending you a message with the kind of people they've presented from all of these places. It's to show you the kind of model applicants that they prefer. These are the kinds of people that they've shortlisted, and they're even saying we are proud to announce this well as shortlist. You see yourself on different parts of the, divide. So it's a very good message to you not to waste energy to apply because you won't get it. That doesn't mean that that's the only program or scholarship opportunity in that Canada. There are other ones. When you look at schools like Carleton University that are more engineering oriented, so if you're a civil engineering person, and yes, maybe you can look into those programs, funding those areas there, because then you find something more geared towards you. Because Carleton is a highly technical university. Yeah, that's how you do your research. You don't even need sometimes to go so far. Okay, so that's where you find evidence of these values that I'm talking about, of what the scholarship represents, and then the kind of role model or ideal person they want to have for that scholarship. It also shows you the kind of impact they want to achieve with a scholarship. What do I mean? When you look at the LinkedIn pages and the websites of some of these scholarships, they'll say, "Oh, this person that we had as a scholar in 19, some of the scholarships are very old, 1980 something. The person is now president of Grenada." And you see that when you go into the scholarship website, maybe all the people they sponsored were into political science, and then here you are coming with your mathematical grades looking for a scholarship from them. Then you know that you have to take a 360, unless maybe you're ready to transition into political science. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So you write your essay to reflect the values that they are seeking, not what you want. They are seeking. It's like you've met somebody speaking French and you want to intentionally speak Tree to them. Do you think they will understand you? Don't even mind you because they're not on the same level. But if you start to speak French to them, they will probably respond to you because that is what they are looking for. So you speak the language that the scholarship committee is looking for. And how do you do that? You must write an essay that reflects your purpose, your passion, and your promise and potential. And in all of this, it will be connected to the values that they are looking for. So how do we do that? I have an example. But before we go to that example, I want to highlight further what an SOP is. An SOP has different names. You've probably heard of some of the names. Some of the names that we have is, statement of purpose. We have some of the right now I've lost of some of the names that they give it. Revision. They give it what? Letter
Personal
of intent,
statement.
personal statement, letter of intent. These are all the same things, just different synonyms. Yeah, but it just communicates to these reviewers and the people there that they should accept you into their scholarship program, but you back it with actionable evidence as to why they should accept you, and then your purpose and your passion and what you can offer them, and then what you want to do immediately. Basically, I'm telling them that, I'm already doing this. If they say I'm impacting 15 people a year in my local community, but once I get the scholarship, I can get A, B, C, and D, and that will shoot my impact to 50,000 people, in this arena, whether it's health arena, whether it's political influence, whether it's mathematical, space, whether it's tech space. Nowadays, Google is sponsoring a lot of scholarships for these tech people, the AI people. So, yeah, now let's move on. So I have an example here. I wrote this example off the top of my head. Somebody thought that I copied it from somebody's essay, but I was writing I have like a newsletter I send out once in a while, and I just really wanted to give an example. So I sat down and I just wrote it as in under 2 minutes, you know. And you can get to this level where you can write something this good. You just need to keep studying it, keep training your mind, feeding your mind on good patterns and keys for good SOPs, because SOPs are very central to what makes your application or breaks it, because it gives the committee a decision whether they should accept you or not. So here you can see, it says growing up in Ghana, studying the arts, you are ridiculed, but more so, much more, for deliberately choosing to study culinary arts. Yet we have a tremendous high human nutrition deficiency index of 145%. My mother was a popular caterer. Growing up, I spent much of my time with her in the kitchen, learning how to cook delicious meals, nourishing clients, and at Christmas, feeding the nutrient deficient street children. In 2015, I won a globally recognized award. This could have even been nationally recognized or regional level, for serving the most meals as a young person of 16 with the Rice Organization for feeding 1,000 children over a period of 2 years. With the youth department in my church, we organized cooking competitions to encourage more careers in the culinary arts among both males and females. I am proud to say 2 young mentees of mine are in culinary school. I want to study at ABC University because it is ranked as the best culinary school in the UK. Hence, I'll be able to learn the best tasteful delicacies and work with Professor XYZ, who is a renowned leader in studies on nutrition. So, I want to ask you guys, let me see if I can see my chats. What do you think this person's scholarship is going to be about? What do you think? What's the kind of scholarship? Just type in the chat. What kind of scholarship do you think, they are talking about? Just type in the comment section. I'm looking at it. Nutrition, very good. Very good, Matilda. Very good, Pearl. Roger, very good. Food industry, food and nutrition, very good. Why am I asking this question? Because sometimes, when we read some of our essays that we've written, I think it's a challenge with how we're brought up in the Ghanaian education system, like the public Ghanaian education system, because by the grace of God, some of us who went to private school were taught very well, but I saw that very quickly. We are not able to articulately communicate what is in our mind with what is supposed to be on the paper, so that when somebody else also reads it, they immediately know what we're talking about. So somebody writes a story about how I was in the village, I suffered, like things that are not really relevant. All I'm trying to say is that everything you should say in your essay should point towards that thing you are passionate about. So you see, all of you can immediately tell, this person is food and nutrition that they want to do, or something in the food industry. You see, why? Because every paragraph or every sentence is pointing to that. That's why you see these highlights: culinary arts, nutrition, delicious meals, most meals, nutrient deficiency. They're talking about where they're coming from. They're still talking about where they're coming from. You see, they're talking about their experiences. I always say that your experiences are not to your opposition, they are to your advantage. It's how you talk about them. Okay, so they talk about the experiences, 3 experiences. They give us the fact that they grew up with a mom who was a cooking person and feeding clients and then feeding children. They talk about also following their mom's footsteps and winning awards. They talk about sometimes the awards, it doesn't need to be anything big. It can be like a shout out on the radio station that you were given. That's a recognition right there. You know, because I've worked with so many clients, they sometimes feel like, oh, like me, yeah, certificate, visa, or me, my brabo muda. Or they feel like, oh, me, I've never been a class rep, so, or like I've not had like that kind of leadership position, so I don't really have anything to say. But my dear, you do. You really do. You just need to sit down and then write some of these things out. I always say write them in a chronological manner, starting from when you were young. The Bible says something, precept upon precept, line upon line. The same thing, you need to sit down and write it line by line, precept upon precept. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that is the example I want to give you. Now, I want to ask you guys, you've seen that this is what she wants to apply to. Can you tell me what is, I mentioned some three things. I mentioned purpose, passion, and potential. Can you guys tell me maybe what you think the purpose from this essay is? Her purpose in life, her passion in life, and the potential. From what information that is given about her in the snippets that I've given this person. This is just completely fictional, by the way. It's not, I just made it up, but it was to give you an example. Anybody who can pick the purpose from this section, the passion, and then the potential. You can type it in the chat. I'm waiting. So I'll give you an example to start. The purpose. So you can see her purpose is, she states it in the last paragraph that her purpose is to learn the best tasteful delicacies and then make them very nutritious at the same time to feed nutrient deficient children. So the beginning is tying in with the end, you know. So that's her purpose in life. She wants to learn how to make tasty but nutritious food and feed her country that is highly nutrient deficient. Okay. By the way, the 145% is made up. I don't even know if it's actually true. I just was typing to make a point in my newsletter, like about structure and then, coherence. That's when I put it there. So I want to know if anybody can tell me what line they can pick and say, this girl, she's really passionate about this thing. There's like a sentence or a line. That meaning that, she's passionate. So I've already given the purpose. The last but one line, when she says that I will be able to learn the best tasteful delicacies and then do studies in nutrition. I want to see if anybody can guess it. Okay, Matilda says that the passion is cooking. Good. And the purpose is owning a culinary school and helping others. Very good. What about the potential? What would it mean if this person got a scholarship? What idea can you see will be forming? If, let's say, this was just a part of the essay that I wrote, but what outcome do you think will be if we gave her £40,000 plus scholarship to the UK? What do you think she can do with that once she has a certificate? What do you think she could possibly do if you were the one writing her essay for her, or you just in this part of her essay? But what can you think? Papa Kwame is saying that she can scale up her work. Yes. So you see how she's cooking for 2,000 children in 2 years. I mean, that if you give her the scholarship, she can cook for almost, as the Nigerians would say, I don't know why nowadays I'm saying almost so much, but she can cook probably within a year, 1,000 children alone. Right. So that's the structure. This is all to say to give you an idea about the structure. So well done to you guys for participating, Matilda and Papa Kwame. Thank you guys so much. Now I have another example here. This one is a very